When setting up a cluster, you have the option to use either physical or virtual machines. And considering the fact that most people have virtual infrastructures in their environment already, it oftentimes makes sense to use virtual machines to set up a cluster to run your applications. Now, the hypervisor themselves generally provide some level of high availability, which typically involves just a reboot of the virtual machine. So it's really not that comprehensive protection here. Now, SIOS technologies in our software, we allow you to run on either physical or virtual environments. So a very attractive option in setting up a cluster is to use all virtual machines as part of the configuration. So in the diagram here, I have a virtual machine. It's running on a hypervisor. Pick your favorite hypervisor here. And in this case, SIOS would install our software inside the virtual machine. And SIOS software would replicate the data from within one virtual machine to within another. So you've got real-time block level replication of your data. And should the application or the virtual machine itself fail, the secondary or the standby virtual machine is waiting to take over, and it's got a real-time copy of data. Now, if you're doing this with Hyper-V, you've got some additional options. Because Hyper-V is a feature on top of Windows Server operating system, you can install SIOS software at the Hyper-V host level, and we can do replication at the hypervisor layer from one Hyper-V host over to another. This allows you to do things like virtual machine failover as well as virtual machine live migration, but without that shared storage requirement. So regardless of the hypervisor that you choose, you have lots of different options. You can set up what we call virtual-to-virtual clusters, where the cluster members would be virtual machines. Guest clustering is also what that's known as. Or if you want to do clustering at the host level, that's something you can accomplish with Hyper-V. So when setting up a cluster, it doesn't have to be done with all physical servers. If you have a virtual infrastructure, go ahead and use that. Set up a cluster where all the nodes in that cluster are virtual machines, also known as a VM guest cluster. Or in the case of Hyper-V, go ahead and do this at the host level and do a Hyper-V host cluster without shared storage.